came all the way with his husband from San Diego, California. I like to say he just came here, but he made a few stops along the way. But he really came here. He wanted to see me.
That's right.
Every year at the ANTN, which is the Affiliated New Thought Network auction, this man is amazing. If we ever have an auction, we have to fly you in for it. He is a fabulous auctioneer, and he can get you to pay a whole lot more than you can. Actually, I won, and she was just here, Reverend Sunny Bowen.
Yes.
And so she was just here because of your wonderful skills in the auctioning world. But anyway, Reverend Jerry Troyer, as I said, hails from California, San Diego, and he's going to treat us all today with this beautiful talk of his. It's my story, and it's sticking to me. He has a book coming out to ourselves, and there's a whole lot of stuff here from his website, but you're going to experience him. But this is all about admitting, accepting, and embracing who we truly are. And that's what we want to do. That's what we talk about every Sunday, that each and every one of us has a gift to share, to shine, to radiate out into the world. And Reverend Jerry Troy is going to lead us in how we can do that. And the beginning of it will be right now. Reverend Jerry? Yes.
Thank you so much, and good morning.
Good morning.
Is it okay if I take this off the stand?
Do whatever you like.
I gotta move.
Look.
Thank you so much, and good morning. Great to see you all, and a great honor to be with you this morning. My thanks to Reverend Margaret for the opportunity. This is just, seems like we've been talking about this for years, but at any rate, we have probably. But it's wonderful to be here. As Reverend Margaret alluded to, my husband Jerry and I started our Mid-Atlantic tour last Saturday. We flew into Baltimore. I spoke at Metropolitan Community Church in Washington, D.C. last Sunday. As you may know, they are a progressive church, a progressive Christian church, primarily for the gay and lesbian community, but open to all. And it's always a wonderful opportunity to be with them because I get to take New Thought principles in. I carry my Bible. I shake my Bible when I need to. But as you remember in Matthew, Jesus said, "It's done unto you as you believe," which is absolutely the foundation of our teaching. Wow, it says that? It does. It says, "Greater than these things will you do." It says, if you have faith the size of a grain of mustard, you will say to the mountain, "Go throw yourself into the sea," and it'll do so. Yes. It says that. So I love doing that. We just had a wonderful time. 2 days in the Poconos, up in the fall colors, and it was kind of getting cool, and it was so wonderful. Then 3 nights in New York City. We went to the Halloween parade with 500,000 of our closest friends, which was an experience I want to tell you. If you've never done that before, that was something. And then here with you, and then back to Baltimore and home tomorrow morning. So I'm just thrilled to be with you all this morning. I want to talk for just a minute about Christmas. And whether you celebrate it or not, believe it or not, what do we got? About 7 more weeks. And at Costco in San Diego, we've been doing Christmas since about early August. Did you ever notice that it's like a creep? And so, there's an aisle of stuff, and then there's a couple of aisles of stuff, and then there are fewer aisles of Halloween because we got to get ready for Christmas. And so we've been kind of planning for this for a while. And whether you celebrate and put up a tree and all the rest of that or not, or you celebrate Hanukkah or any of the December holidays, there's just that something in the air of excitement and anticipation. And on the East Coast, of course, the air is getting cooler and getting cooler. It gets cooler in San Diego as well, and we have a few 60-degree days, and we complain bitterly to anyone who will listen because we're freezing to death. And you don't want to hear that. That's okay. Just thought I'd throw that in. But so we come together with friends and family perhaps during this time of year, and we come to church and special music, and we have this experience, and we probably talk about the Christ consciousness, recognizing that Jesus was the Christ, but we are all the Christ, and talking about the birth of this Christ consciousness. But then after New Year's Day, or after Epiphany, if you wait till mid-January, we box it all up and put it away until next year. Do we also box up the recognition that we are the Christ? So my topic for the talk this morning is rediscovering the Christ. So what do we mean? What do we mean by the Christ? We mean that consciousness, that belief, that recognition that Jesus had, and remembering those wonderful prosperity promises in the New Testament. We recognize that Jesus was the great example, not the great exception. And remember, he said again, greater than these things will you do. He never said, do not try this at home. Jesus spoke his truth. And you'll remember at the wedding in John 2, verse 4, they were running out of wine, and his mother came to him and said, they're running out of wine. And he said, paraphrased, give it a rest, mother, I've got this. My hour is not yet come. So we know Jesus as the great example, but also he was willing and able to speak his truth. And there's that opportunity for us as well. So what does life look like when we're expressing and experiencing the Christ? To me, that means that life works in every area, in our health, in our relationships, and in our money. And the ultimate of that to me would be that I wake up in the morning and say, you know, I'm tired of San Diego, I want to get out of here. Or you wake up and say in February and say, you know, I'm sick of this snow and cold, I want to get out of here. And so you call your 10 BFFs, your 10 best forever friends, and you tell them, meet me at the airport, Philadelphia International, meet me at the airport at X hour. We're going to Hawaii for a long weekend, and I've got this. And you pay, or you can go to the Bahamas, it's closer. You can go that way if you want. It's just a warm place. But you're going wherever you're going, and you've got it, and you're taking care of it on your debit card.
Yeah.
Not your credit card, but your debit card. All of these areas, so our health, our relationships, our money, they're all intertwined, as we know, because you might have all the money in the world, but if you don't have friends that you want to take to Hawaii with you or that want to go with you, what good is it? You might have the friends and the money, but if you don't have the physical health, you can't go to Hawaii. What good is it? So all of this is intertwined together. The Christ consciousness is that foundation of joy. And I love that you are Joyful Gathering. My center in San Diego is Joyful Living Spiritual Center. And I'm reminded of the book Power, Freedom, and Grace by Deepak Chopra. And he talks about the experience of joy, different from happiness. Happiness is being with you. But eventually, you'll leave and so will we. Happiness is chocolate cake. Happiness is a new car. But eventually, the new car loses its smell, the ashtrays get full of gum wrappers, and it's not a new car anymore. So things that make us happy are momentary experiences, whereas joy is that underlying foundation that we are the Christ. We are the beloved. We never walk alone. And this loving, nurturing presence that we call God, Spirit, the universe, our higher power, the infinite, the divine, whatever you want to call it, is always with us, in us, as us. And if there's a situation that we don't like, we get to change it. That's that foundation of joy. So why don't we? Why don't we experience all the good that life has for us? Why don't we have financial abundance and perfect health and wonderful relationships? Why do we go through what we go through? Well, consider. Think back to when you were born. And you may not remember the exact date and time, and that's okay. But the concept of when we were first born, we came in with nothing. No ideas, no opinions, no rules, no how it should be. And we were taught over time how it should be. Maybe you were taught that you should wait until you're married to have a child. You should go through high school and college and graduate from college. You should marry a person of the opposite sex and get married and stay married for the rest of your life. Notice the common word in each of those sentences, should. How often do we have those thoughts of should in our minds? We should go to the gym this afternoon. We shouldn't eat that other piece of chocolate cake. We should go to church. Well, now see, that's an exception because you should go to church. But the rest of this, the point is, if we have the thought that we should do that, chances are we don't want to. But we were taught that we should do that. What happens when we can't? What happens when we break one of our rules? I have a rule about being on time. And if you were not on time to church this morning, I'm not speaking about you. I am only speaking about me. So take nothing personally in this story. My rule is you need to be there early. You need to be there 15 minutes, half an hour, 45 minutes early. If you're too early, drive down the street and park in the parking lot and listen to the radio, because it's better to be there 45 minutes early than 2 minutes late. My Jerry and I lived in Boston. It was a job transfer, so we moved from San Diego to Boston, which was an experience in itself, in 1994 and 95. It was an amazing experience. He grew up in Kentucky. I grew up in San Diego. It's not that we have such good weather in San Diego, it's just we don't have any weather in San Diego. It's, between 72 and 78 pretty much year round. And so, no snow, no change of color, because the palm trees don't change colors. So we missed out on that, but we didn't have that wonderful adventure that y'all have and that they have in the Northeast. And so my first business trip early 1994 was to a technology company outside of Philadelphia. So I fly from Boston to Philly, and it's a snowy day. I get the rental car. I head out the Blue Route 476 out to get off at Bluebell. Okay. Well, as you know, the New Jersey and Pennsylvania turnpikes are very unforgiving. And so what happened was it's the last exit on 476 to go to Bluebell. I missed it and got on the turnpike. About 10 miles down, I was finally able to come back and get to where I needed to go. And of course, in 1994, I didn't have a cell phone. I didn't have a GPS. I didn't have all of those modern conveniences. And so to make a long story even longer, got there 45 minutes late to this business appointment. I needed to be hospitalized. I just was. Oh my dear God. They're gonna cancel the contract. I'm gonna lose my job. I'm gonna have to crawl back to Boston and tell Jerry what happened. We're gonna have to sell matches in the snow because that will be the only way we'll be able to get money. Do you ever do that? You have a situation and you write the script and you have all the Academy Award winning actors for this whole awful experience of what could happen. So I crawl into the lobby of the building, and they call the man that I have the appointment with, and he comes down to the lobby, and I said, "I'm so very sorry." And he said, "Don't worry about it. It's snowing outside." So where did this come from? Where did this rule come from that I have that I've got to be there early? Because when we're late, where it came from was my father. Because if you're late, that means you're irresponsible, immature, you don't respect the other person's time, etc., etc. What does it really mean when we're late? We're late. That's all it means. But we assign the meaning to what happens in our lives. And it follows us in our experiences, in our relationships with one another, in our relationships with the infinite. Because it's my story and it's sticking to me. So we get to decide. I would like very much to tell you that everything I attempt works perfectly. And maybe it does in your life. Mine, not so much. There are times when we try something and that didn't work. Or we should have done something and we just couldn't. What happens when we spill the milk? There's a great book, Smile for No Good Reason by Lee Jampolsky, and he talks about toddler wisdom. If you've ever spent time with a small child, you know that, especially 3, 4, 5-year-olds, they are always in the moment, and it's no big deal. And he talks about 3 points of toddler wisdom. The first one being, all gone. Done with lunch. All gone. I'm going to go play. Not, dear Lord, what are we going to do for dinner? Not, okay, but what about lunch tomorrow? Just, all gone. The next one is, bye-bye. You're leaving? Okay. See you later. I'm going to go play. Not, what have I done to drive you away from me? When will I see you again? Just bye-bye. My favorite is, whoopsie. Spilled the milk. Whoopsie. Stepped on the dog. Whoopsie. Not, for the love of God, how stupid could I have been to do that 5 years later? I'm still rehashing that and rehashing that and rehashing that. He doesn't mention the fourth one, but I would like to add a fourth one, and that is why. Why do I believe that? Why do I feel that way? Why is this so important to me, and why am I taking this personally? So the opportunity for us is to look at what we believe about all these areas of our lives and about our rules, and decide today what's true for us, and decide what we've carried with us, recognize what we've carried with us for maybe years or decades, and choose to release that no longer serves us. Because if we broke a rule, we might have guilt, shame, resentment, regret, all of those really tasty feelings. Why does it matter? It matters because it's done unto us as we believe, but also as we feel. We won't manifest that wonderful new job, that wonderful new relationship, that wonderful new unexpected income if we don't believe we deserve it. Who's keeping score? If we really get that the universe is a power, not a personality, and we know that it is, there's no hateful, surly, cranky, white, straight old man up on a cloud somewhere keeping score for us. If we really get that, and I so invite myself, and you can come along for the ride as well if you want to check in every once in a while. What do I really believe about the infinite? Do I really believe that it always responds to me? Do I really believe that it always says yes? Or do I have any of that old, speaking of Christmas, that old Santa Claus concept of God? You know, he knows when you've been sleeping, he knows when you're awake, he knows when you've been bad or good, so be good for goodness sake. Do we still have any of that old Santa Claus stuff about the universe? Or do we know that it loves us, nurtures us, and always says yes to us? So how do we know if there's a challenge? No. How do we know that if there's an opportunity? I like the word so much better than challenge. If that affirmative prayer, that spiritual mind treatment that you've been working on for however long just hasn't moved yet. Edwene Gaines says, what must I change about myself in order to receive this? We know we're not talking God into doing anything. It's our belief. So what must I change? What must I release? What forgiveness work do I need to do so that I can experience whatever that is? How do we know if there's an opportunity? If you do New Year's resolutions, and your resolution list looks like, I used to say carbon copy, and I had a lot of people in the audience look at me funny because they didn't know what carbon paper was. If you don't know what carbon paper is, I don't want to hear about it. Call it before your time, yeah, you wish. Call it a Xerox copy, or anyway, if the list is the same this year as it was last year, which it was 5 years ago, why aren't we willing and able to accept that good that we say we want? What's keeping that from us? It's not God. It's our belief in something. It's our fear of something or our guilt about something that we can release. So how do we do this? Surprisingly enough, the subtitle of my book, as Reverend Margaret said, Admitting, Accepting, and Embracing. We start with admitting that something happened. We had the opportunity to go to the Dr. Phil show a couple of years ago in Hollywood, which was a wonderful experience. And if you watch the show, you know, it looks like this gorgeous hardwood, dark wood set and everything. And the truth is that it really is that. I mean, it's gorgeous. It's really, really nice. And it was interesting because on this particular episode, they were interviewing two 15-year-old girls who had been sending very inappropriate text messages and sexting, I guess you call it, out to boys to try and get a date. Mm-hmm. The parents were obviously very upset, and so they called Dr. Phil, and they went in and went for the interview, and they had the girls there. And in the conversation, both of the girls said, because he asked them, why are you doing this? Both of the girls said, we're just looking for someone to love us. And in the conversation, which he didn't pick up on, and I wanted to raise my hand and say, yo, Phil, you missed this, but did not. What he missed with both the young girls was that they both had been adopted. And I wonder if their story was, my parents didn't love me and threw me away. What if they changed their story to be, my birth parents loved me so much, recognized they couldn't take care of me the way I deserved to be taken care of, so they gave me to a family that could. So not only was I loved, I was loved twice by my birth parents and by my adoptive parents. It's always our story, because we don't know if somebody loved us or not. We really don't. They might not have acted like it, but they did the best they could and showed love for us in the only way they knew how. It's our story. And if it doesn't work for us, we get to change it. So this afternoon at 12:30, we're going to look at our story. We're going to look at our rules and decide what still works for us and what we want to change. I hope that you'll stay with me for that. You know, the Eagles play Houston. We'll miss that, but you should be home by the fourth quarter, and if not, I've got the NFL mobile app on my iPhone, so I can let you know what the score is from time to time. But I will tell you that it will be much better for your soul to be here with me than it will be to watch the Eagles, whatever they're doing. And if you're rooting for the Jets, I don't even want to talk about it, so we won't go down that line. So why does it matter? Why does it matter? Because the choices we make, the good we allow into our lives, reflects what we believe about ourselves and what we deserve. In this wonderful book that mysteriously has my name on it, there's a quote from Neville Goddard, who is one of the early New Thought writers. And he says, "To seek on the outside for that which you do not feel you are is to seek in vain. For we never find that which we want, we only find that which we are." Are we the beloved? Are we the expression, essence, and experience of God? Or are we just here staggering around? Our experience reflects what we believe about ourselves, and at any point we can look at what works for us and what doesn't and make those changes. So that's what we're going to do this afternoon.
Cool.
So with that in mind, would you join me in the light for just a minute? And in the peace and the quiet of this moment, we allow ourselves to be reminded of our oneness with the God presence with one another and with all of life. And we give great thanks for the opportunity to be together this morning, to be reminded of this oneness, and to be reminded that we are so loved and so nurtured. And so as we consider what we're done with, as we consider what no longer serves us, we say yes, thank you, and more please. To all the joy, all the good, all the love, all the passion that is there for us. Thank you, and so it is.
So it is.
Thank you all so much. Namaste.